Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Yo Nityamachyudabadam Bhajayugmarukma Vyamo Hatastadhara Nitrana Yamene Asmat Guru Bhagavato Siddhaika Sindho Ramanujasya Jaranam Sharanam Prabhadhye Yasya Smaranamatreena Dvaitavasana Pramuchyate Bodhatmakaya Namastasmai Bhagavate Shri Ramanamarshye Hridakashe Sada Bhantam Shantamanandarupinam Jnanabhadvaham Vande Sadgurum Shri Sathya Sai Mantarya. Atmananda is directly proportional to the decline of I-ness and identification with the physical body. The screen or veil that prevents us from enjoying our own innate bliss is only ahankara and abhimana. The more we think about ourselves, the less happy we are. The more we care for ourselves, the less happy we are. In the morning, I said when you were 10 years of age, how light and free and carefree you were. The reason for that is, at that time, you didn't have to worry about yourself. You didn't care about yourself. Somebody else was there to care for you. Your parents were there to look after you, care for you. So you could afford to be carefree. You were not so worried about yourself. A child would even run into danger. Even when it knows it's danger, it will still run into it. At that age, self-preservation is quite low. The instincts of self-preservation are not very high. You don't think about yourself so much at that time, at that age. That is why we are happy actually. As we grow older, we become more and more obsessed with ourselves, more entrenched with ourselves. My joy, my happiness, my progress, my success. Me, my. Again and again, there's me and my. That is why we get into conflicts also with our parents. As children, first we get into conflict with our parents. Why? I want it. In my life, I want it this way. Conflict. If the I is not there, there is no conflict at all. Yeah? We all know when Swami was still young, as a small boy, whenever his father used to bring clothes for all the children, different color materials for the children, he would ask everybody to pick. He had a soft spot for young Sathya. So he would ask him to pick first. You pick what you want. And the little boy, Sathya, would say, let everybody pick whatever is left. I will take that. Let everybody pick their colors. Let them choose their colors. Whatever is left, I will have that. In a small way, Swami demonstrated. If you have the tie, you will be miserable. Why? You want red. Somebody else has picked red. You'll be happy. Or you will fight to get that red. On the other hand, if you are happy with whatever comes because you can't be bothered about yourself, whichever color comes, you are happy. The great secret in life is this only. If you are too obsessed with yourself, if you are going to live in this cosmic self-delusion, self-importance, then we are forever going to be miserable. Me, I am important. My opinions are important. My desires are important. Everybody wants their opinions to be valued and respected. Yeah? In some way, the mainstream world greatly damages one's spiritual quest. Because what are you taught? In the world, your value, your opinion is respected. Your opinion is of value. As a small child, you are taught you can express your opinion. It has value. Perhaps there is some good associated with it, but when you look at it spiritually speaking, you end up thinking that your opinions are valuable. That is laughable. Yeah, your opinions are not valuable; they are laughable. But without knowing, this is like a poison in small doses. Poison getting into our system. This is how ahankara flourishes. Without knowing, we think my opinions matter, my desires matter, my likes and dislikes matter. In the house also, for instance, or in the workplace, wherever it is, we want to be heard. Don't I have a right? No, you're wrong. There is no right. It is wrong. And by taking in that poison, my opinion matters, you're only strengthening that wall, that screen that is actually taking you away from your real Ananda. This is what the Shastra says. This is what the Mahatpurusha says. This is what the Avatar says. On the one hand, we have the world telling us something. On the other hand, we have Avatara telling us something. We've got to have the Viveka to listen to the world or to God. We should know. Yeah. Nobody's opinions matters, because in the end, whatever opinions are there, what is going to happen is only going to happen. Whatever you may want is of no consequence, because what he wants is only going to happen. Why should I unnecessarily give myself into the delusion that my rights matter, my opinion matters, my ideas, desires, dislikes, likes, etc. matter? First of all, they do not matter. Second of all, while they do not matter, thinking that they matter is doing great damage to my spiritual Ananda. Even if you want harmony in the house, if you decide that your opinions don't matter, you will be peaceful, your house also will be peaceful. Even if the other person doesn't realize it, if you give up your rights, you will be happy. Forget it. It's not worth it. Don't my ideas matter? Yeah, to whom? They don't even matter to you, really. This is not giving up your rights. This is actually being right. This is being sensible. Because the decline of this I-ness, this ego, me, the more it declines, the higher the Atmananda, says Swami. Don't we want Ananda? Should we not follow this principle then? Now we've got to practice it. See, we keep listening to all of this. Nothing is new. This is not new. Is this new? To any of you who are listening, is this concept new? That ahankara, if it goes away, you'll be happy. Is this concept new? Practice. Are we practicing it? No. The moment something goes up, our ahankara jumps up again. And we pave the way to our own misery. What is the point? It is not enough to merely listen. One has to be Acharyanallo pettali. Swami would often say, it is not enough to merely say, potato chapati, potato chapati, potato chapati. There is a plate. There is potato and chapati in the plate. You are hungry. And looking at that potato chapati, potato chapati, potato chapati, if you keep saying that, is your hunger going to be filled? Is your stomach going to be filled? Is your hunger going to be quenched? Cheki notiki pani petali, Swami would say. You have to give work to your hand and mouth. The hand takes the food and offers it up to the mouth, mouth chews it and swallows it, then your hunger is satisfied. Like that, practice is important. Otherwise, it will all remain merely bookish knowledge. It will all just be bookish knowledge. So, Atmananda is proportional to the decline of I-ness and the identification with the physical body. Do not shape your conduct with an eye on the opinion of others. Instead, follow bravely, gladly, and steadily the sweet and pleasant promptings of your own sattvic manas, your own awakened conscience, your own inner self. Associate yourself with those who are richly endowed with truth. Sadhana is not to impress anybody. It has got nothing to do with the opinion of others, because munde matir bhinna. Each person has a different opinion. Sadhana is your individual unique path. Nobody needs to know what your sadhana is. You do not need to impress upon anybody what your sadhana is. Nor do you need any approval or approbation from them about your sadhana, because their sadhana is different, your sadhana is different. If at all you should seek to impress somebody, if at all you should value somebody's opinion, Abhidhyana Swami says, who's that? Associate yourself with those who are richly endowed with truth, that jnana. At least their opinion is of some use to you, because not that they have an opinion, they will guide you. In case you are going wrong, they will guide you. But otherwise, your path is your own path. Adila, you've got to listen to the inner promptings and proceed along those lines. If possible, render service to others. What is more important, Swami Araha Cholrar, you associate yourself with satsanga, then on top of it, if it is possible, render service to the needy, to others, nursing the sick, etc. Anna, even when engaged in service in this manner, do not be interested or worried about the result or the act of service or the person to whom it is rendered. Don't worry about the result of the service. I'm doing some service activity. Will it succeed or fail? Don't worry about it. It's not about success and failure. Am I doing it to the right person? Not required. Swami says, who is the right person? The one who needs this is the right person. There's no other qualification he needs. You're giving food to somebody, who is the right person to give that food to? The one who's hungry is the right person to give. So don't worry about the act itself or the result or the person. The service is made holy and pure if you ignore both the good and the bad and keep on silently repeating in your heart of hearts the mantra that appeals to you. So when does service become sanctified? You do whatever you have got to do. Don't worry about the right and the wrong of it. Do the service, render what service assistance you can to the needy without wondering about the rights and wrongs of it. But at the same time, chant the name within. The name becomes a protection for you. Nama becomes a protection for you. And it will prevent you from getting into the same whirlpool of ahankara again. I am the doer. Don't bother about the result also. That service will become a sanctifying, sacred, holy thing. Do not enter upon a task through momentary compulsion of some impulse. Even if the impulse appears to be very respectable, you should not let yourself be dragged by it. You have always got to be vigilant in this manner, steadfast and strong. Actions happen as they are meant to happen. You cannot decide. But the freedom that you have is again in the inner space. If you are going to be motivated by impulses, by urges, by desires, etc., then no matter what action it is, even if it is respectable, it is not respectable. Ankita Swami says, be vigilant in this manner. Be steadfast and strong in this manner. Alert you've got to be. To what? The motivation for your action. That is where you've got to be very alert. It is not the action that matters. Why are you doing that action? What is the motivation behind that action? That you've got to be very careful of, so that you don't have the wrong motives for the action. Selfish motives are wrong motives. You should not have any selfish motives. Selfish motives, again, something that is pandering to one's own ahankara. It is giving something to me, making me happy, giving me name and fame, giving me a good opinion or goodwill, and so on and so forth. Not for all of that. For what purpose? It is only for him. So be steadfast, strong and vigilant in this manner. A joyful outlook. Again, next one. Unna Swami add for little by little is adding so many little practical things that we can do. A joyful outlook. A joyful outlook helps Shanti to grow. Therefore, it should be cultivated by the sadhaka. Prasannata. Joyful outlook appadina prasannata. A smile upon the face. If not in the face, at least in the eyes. What do we lose? If you smile, don't you feel happy? Whose loss is it? Chirunavu, small smile. Still a smile, just the corners will lilt up. Or enough. That little smile itself will give ananda to you. Try it now. Just try it now. You're sitting. Just give a small smile. See how do you feel. The moment you smile, you feel happy. It's so simple. Secret to happiness is so simple. Just give us a little smile. Eengada. Don't say cheese. Just give a small smile. Joyful attitude, joyful outlook to life. எல்லாத்துக்கும் மூடியா இருக்கப்படாது. Some people are very moody. They drop of a hat, they'll go. That is a loss to you only, no? Where you could be happy or being miserable. Are you happy being miserable? It's a bit of an oxymoron. If so, then you can drop the oxy in that and apply the rest of it to yourself. What is the use? Why should we be miserable when we can be happy? If I can be happy, I'll choose to be happy. Why be miserable? How to make myself happy? Chiri, smile. We are already happy. Half the battle is won. Joyful outlook, Swami is saying. Ellathriyume aanandakarama. Whatever it is that you are approaching in life, approach it with a smile. Approach it with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm enna is another opportunity to connect to God. If you are going with a defeatist attitude already you have defeated yourself. Already you have lost the battle. A joyful outlook helps Shanti. Therefore, it must be cultivated by all the sadhakas. Swami would often say, what is this castor oil face? What is this castor oil face? Castor oil face, castor oil is supposed to be very bitter. A horrible taste it has got. So when you put it into your mouth, automatically face will go. The face will have a certain expression when you take castor oil into it. That is called castor oil face. Swami would often say, what kind of castor oil face is this? He should understand the secret of character and strengthen his Ichha Shakti. Instead of wasting this Shakti, he should conserve it. If he moves in the world intelligently and with care, he can demonstrate the truth. Man is verily of the nature of Shanti, of peace. For example, again something Swami is saying, very nice thing. Again, Swami used to love this particular instruction. He should give it all the time to everybody. What is it, Dina? Valuable time should not be wasted in worthless talk. Valuable time should not be wasted in worthless talk. What is worthless talk? Worthless talk. Everything is worthless talk only. Whatever we talk is worthless only. What is the use? People will sit and debate. I don't know. Whatever you say, the federal government should not have done this policy. So what? Are you going to go and change it? Are they going to listen to you and change it? Is your talk not worthless? If you are that interested, go and show it in the next election. Sitting here and saying, oh, useless. What is the point? You go on patient. All talk that is not related to either the task at hand or Bhagavan. If at all you want to talk about something, talk about Ishvara. Talk about Sadvishaya, Bhagavad Vishaya. Something about some truth about the Lord. Otherwise, sing bhajans. I can't keep quiet all the time. I have to do something. I have to use my mouth for something. Sing bhajans. Do japa. Ana worthless talk. Worthless talk அப்படினா என்னதுன்னா இருக்கிறவளை பத்தி பேசுறது தான் worthless talk. அந்நியஸ்ய குணதோஷனம். Talking about other people. The worst thing that you can do is talk about people. They did, he did, she did. Whether good or bad does not matter. It is still worthless. Don't think that you'll get extra points by talking good about others. You get the same negative points by talking about good about others also, as you would if you talk bad. Yeah, both are useless. In spirituality, both are useless. Both will lead only to traps. If you can, remain quiet. If you can't, then do japa. Sing bhajans. That is the ideal thing that we can do. Conversation should be priyam and hitam. Pleasant and beneficial. Priyamma irukku அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக வம்படிக்கிறதும் பிரியமா தான் இருக்கும். Gossiping will be very pleasant to some people. But hitam, அப்படின்னா Swami also adds another dimension to it. Hitam means beneficial to us. Good to us. Then it can be kept humble and without pretensions. Shanti will become firm. அப்போ வாச்சிகமான ஒரு tapasya this is. Verbal tapasya. What is the greatest verbal tapasya you can do? அப்படின்னா by not talking you are doing the greatest verbal tapasya. What is right speech? அப்படின்னா silence. Silence is the best speech. Next best speech is about God. A third best is about the task at hand. Beyond this, there's nothing else that is good. That is all. If everything is dedicated to the Lord, there will be no room for worry or sorrow or even joy. If you rid yourself thus of attachment, Shanti can never be disturbed. I, my, mine, my own, your, yours. When these ideas take hold of the mind, Shanti suffers a setback. Swami's words are interesting here. Mirrors what Krishna says in the Gita. When you offer everything to God, you will have no room for worry or sorrow or even joy. If you offer everything to God, you will have no room for joy also. What is the point of not having joy? Isn't the whole thing for joy? You remember we spoke about it in the morning. If you are going to be nibbling on the trivial, petty joys of the world, then how will you get that divine, supreme joy, the taste for that supreme joy? How will it ever arise in you? So not having these joys is also a great blessing. These things are neither worth feeling happy about nor sorrow about. Harsha, Marsha, Bhaya, Udvega. Bhagavan says in the Gita, Harsham also should not be there. Harsham na joy. Not only Dukkham, Sukha, Harsha also should not, excitement also should not be there for the things of this world. Because if you get moved by these little things, then you are lowering your level. If alpa vishayangalna, if they can make you happy, there's, when we speak about a sense of humor, when you're a small child, what makes you happy? If a fellow is walking and he falls down, he will laugh. That itself is funny. Slapstick humor. But as you grow older, hopefully, your mind evolves, your intelligence evolves, and subtle humor itself you will like. Yeah, in the face humor you may not prefer. Subtle humor or a satire or a parody. The madri or subtle humor will become nicely enjoyable to you. Not in your face, subtle or Apo we laugh for it. That is a mark of growing up. Yeah, like that. If you're going to be thrilled about all cheap things, what does it speak about your emotional development? You've got to be happy for higher things. When things related to God happen and you're excited and you're thrilled, then you've evolved up to that level. Otherwise, you're still very cheap. You're very cheap. If worldly things can make you happy, you are very cheap. You have to give yourself a rare ranking, a cheap ranking. We should evolve into something greater. Yeah? So if you get rid of all of attachments in this manner, Shanti can never be disturbed. I, me, mine, my own, your, you, yours, all of these things are hitting your Shanti, making Shanti suffer a setback. To get the attitude of sincerely offering all to him. Next to this, Swami children. What you should do, you offer everything to Bhagavan. How to get that attitude of offering everything to the Lord? Next, every single instruction Swami gives, he follows it up with a means of how do you actually implement it. Offer everything to the Lord. How? For that, prema is essential. Prema is essential. Prema combined with faith in oneself is essential. That is what is again called bhakti. Prema is essential. Until we first, where is our first focus in Bhagavat Prema? Divine love towards the Lord. Bhagavan, what is this prema? This prema is something that will bind him so close to you that wherever you go, you have got to take him with you. Whatever emotions arise, if he is present in it, then it has already been offered to him. I said in the morning, if you are happy, be happy with God. If you are sad, be sad with God. If you are worried, be worried with God. Worry irda Swami, enna panna poreno Swami, onnu theriyaliye Swami. You Swami, I don't know what to do. It doesn't matter. Then your worry itself will become sadhana for you. Otherwise, what will remain as Vedana will become sadhana for you. You're connecting to God using that. It is becoming a stepping stone for you to connect to the Lord. Joy irundalo, hey Swami. Remember the other day I said for everything you can use the word Swami. For all emotions, for all the navarasas, you can use the word Swami. When things go wrong also, Swami. Swami. Then everything, this is when, but when can that happen? It cannot happen. It is not a practice. It is not a mechanical practice. Prema is essential for this. Prema combined with Atma Vishwasa is essential for this. Love for God should be there. Even if you don't pick up anything else from Prasanthi Vahini, if you can pick up this one thing, for any Vahini for that matter, any Shastra for that matter, any Upanishad for that matter, the only thing that we've got to pick up is you should fall in love with God. It is not enough to merely love God. You should fall in love with God. You should become infatuated with Him, intoxicated with Him, head over heels with Him. Your knees should become weak when you think about Him. And the alavukku you've got to fall in love with God. Nobody else can occupy that place which God occupies. Then how can He be far from anything in your life? Whatever emotions are arising, feelings, thoughts, whatever is arising within you, He will be part and parcel of it. And when He is with you through all of that, you are offering everything to Him. Doesn't matter what it is, you're already offering it to Him. Cultivate this steadily every day and derive joy therefrom, says Swami. This prema is essential. This prema is called bhakti. Cultivate this bhakti and derive joy from it. Again, one should also have a mind filled with samarasa, a vision of equanimity. The conviction that fundamentally everything is the same. A spiritual life is not a matter of meaningless talk. It is really a life lived in the Atma. It is the experience of pure Ananda. It is just another name for a full, complete life. Spiritual. What is spirituality? What is spiritual life? More definitions. Different people come up with different ideas and definitions for spirituality. A spiritual life is a full life. Sampurnamaina Jeevitam. Sampurnamaina Jeevitam. It is a complete life, whole life, wholesome life. 100 living life 100%. That is spiritual life. Live your life 100%. Who would not want it? Nothing is lacking in your life. But that is only possible when we are deeply in love with God. Then only we can uncover the hidden treasures of Ananda that are present within us. More and more practical tips Swami goes on to give for us. For a life of Shanti, you should keep your promises and never forget them. You should be courteous and well-mannered. You have to be impartial in your dealings. Small, moral tips. And then, if you give a promise, live up to it. Otherwise, what will happen? Failing that itself will keep niggling your Shanti. I have not yet done it. I have not done it. I have not done it. Your conscience will be there. It will disturb your Shanti. Be courteous and well-mannered. If you're harsh to somebody, you'll go away and then regret. You'll keep thinking, maybe I should have been a little bit more polite. Maybe I wasn't courteous enough. You'll go back with a regret. That will eat up your Shanti. Simple. Don't do anything that you'll regret later. Don't behave in any manner that you'll go back and say, oh, you should not feel that. But above all, you should be immersed in the ocean of bhakti, as immovable as the Himalayas. Remove from the garden of your heart the thorny bushes of greed and anger, jealousy and selfishness, the evil breed of I and mine. Uproot them even when they are emerging as mere seedlings. All this discipline is truly the discipline for earning Shanti. Here, he's talking about so many things. What is the main thing? Shanti is defined as true prema towards the Lord. That's Shanti. For all problems, there is only one solution. Loving God is the answer to all the problems of life. Whatever problem we have, if we are able to love God, then all those problems are solved. Now, what does this loving God mean? Talk to Him. Make Him a part and parcel of your life. Very simple. Very, very simple. To love God is very, very simple because He is love itself. We are also love itself. Therefore, to love God is love loving itself. Love loving itself. இதுக்கு போய் லவ் லவ்னு ஏன் கஷ்டப்படுறோம்? Love loving love. And He is love. We are love. What is connecting us is love. But love loving love. How can this be difficult? It is very easy. It is very easy. All that we have got to do. கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் வேலை பண்ணா போறோம். Little work if you do, it is enough here. பெரிய ஒர்க்கே இல்லை. In bhakti sadhana, lot of work is not required at all. Little bit of work is enough. In a little bit of work, just keep selfishness away. The only enemy for prema is swartham, is selfishness. As and when selfishness arises, the I and mine arises, Swami says, uproot them even when they emerge as mere seedlings. Otherwise, before you know, they become trees. அதுக்கு தான் you got to be very, very, all the disciplines, so-called do's and don'ts of a spiritual life are all geared towards making sure that this I and mine don't rear up their ugly heads. Humility, ஏன் சொல்றோம்? Implicit obedience to the Guru, for instance. Implicit obedience to the Guru. Doesn't matter what, hell or high water. I will obey the Guru. Yeah, why? It will make sure that there is no trace or no room for the ego to arise. Otherwise, you will start thinking of it through, no, okay, he's saying that, but it is not practical, it is not easy, it is not comfortable, it is not so practical. Enamo something will come. What is all this based upon? Our ahankara. It's all based upon our ahankara. Our needs, so-called needs, as though we know our needs better than he does. First of all, none of these needs matter. The only need that matters is the need to attain the Lord. And He is addressing that need. So if we have that faith in someone as Guru, just implicitly obey. Whatever he says, whether it is easy or not, whether it is possible or not, you do it. Once, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the Prime Minister of India, in those days, with the Prime Minister of India, had come to Prasanthi to have Swami's darshan. And Swami took him into the interview room and was sitting there with all of his other people, and Swami was talking to him about various things, about the political affairs, the country's state, and so on and so forth. In the middle of that conversation, the Prime Minister asked Swami, what is bhakti? Please talk to me about bhakti. Please tell us about bhakti. Swami did not pay attention to it. Swami went on with whatever the conversation was going on. He was still saying, the constitution should be like this, the law should be like this, people should be treated like this. He was still talking about the same thing. Okay, since Swami is saying it, he waited patiently, listened to all of that. Again, when he had a chance, he once again asked, Swami, can you please tell us what is bhakti? Just then, a boy, one of the students, who had been given the task of serving all these dignitaries who had come with some water, he entered the room. He was having a tray in his hand, and in that tray there were several glasses of water, tumblers of water, and he was coming there to serve the water to all of the guests. Swami had given him this instruction, you come in and give it to them. So just as that boy entered to come in, he looked at Swami for taking Swami's permission, so that Swami will say, okay, go up, he can give everybody. Yes, coming in. Swami looked at him and said, drop the tray. Swami said, drop the tray. Now, a lot of dignitaries are sitting in there. Swami himself is sitting in there. A tray full of glasses with water. If you drop it, what will happen? What will happen? So, what should have actually gone in? Normally, what would have gone in this person's mind? Did I hear it correctly? Did Swami say, bring another tray? What did Swami say? Drop the tray. But if they drop the tray, won't water spill on everybody? Won't Swami be wet? Won't the other people be wet? What will happen? He didn't think of any of those things. And he said, when Swami said drop the tray, he dropped the tray. Naturally, water spilled everywhere. And Swami looked at the Prime Minister and said, this is bhakti. This is bhakti. Implicitly obeying without using even your dead akal. Your intelligence is not involved in that matter at all. If it is, you have been given an instruction, abdiye bannu, do that. There was with Swami in Vrindavan a great devotee called Ramabrahmam, Shri Ramabrahmam Garu. He lived with Swami for many years. On an occasion, Swami had appointed him as a caretaker of Vrindavan Ashram. On an occasion, it was his granddaughter's wedding. Granddaughter was getting married in Guntur. So he had told Swami, granddaughter is getting married in Guntur. Ah, very good. Swami said, good. Then the day for the wedding was approaching, slowly approaching. Ram Brahma was staying there doing all of his tasks. As usual, he was rendering his service. The day of wedding also came. He was still there in Vrindavan. 2 days after the wedding, Swami came and said, hey, Poledu, didn't you go for your granddaughter's wedding? After the wedding got over, he comes and said, you didn't go. He said, Swami, you didn't give permission. You didn't say to go. 75-year-old man he was. Swami, you didn't give permission to go. Swami pinched his cheeks. Good boy. I looked at everybody and said, this is bhakti ra. This is bhakti. Who is getting married? His own granddaughter is getting married. Dam bhakti ra. There were funny stories there with Sri Ramabrahma. When he was staying there, in Swami's bungalow only, he had a room. He was staying there, I think, nearby. His wife was also with him. And Swami said, hey, why your wife is talking so much? Wife is talking so much. So then, next day, after darshan, this man quietly went somewhere. He was missing for a day or something. He came back after that. Hey, where did you go? No, I went and dropped her off at the village. I dropped her at the village. Why? She's disturbing you. Why should she be here? I sent her away to the village. No, copying her. Idu bhakti. What attachment then? No? So, other people would have said, Swami just casually mentioned, we should warn her, we should threaten her. Hey, no, don't talk, something. Nothing. Go and drop her off. When she is annoyed, Swami, drop her off. Our warn us that Swami himself stepped in and says, no, you bring her. How much better this is? Vedam Bhakti. This is, what is this? This is prema, yeah. See, he matters so much to you that you are willing to implicitly obey him. Unless we are willing to reach this stage of implicit obedience, because what is preventing us from our implicit obedience to the Lord? Our likes, dislikes, our opinions, what we think is right, what we think is good. Like bugs, like cockroaches, they are crawling in our mind, in our brain. We are told to do something, but we think that is not, what he says is not practical, what he says is not right, what he says is not doable, what he says is going to make my life difficult. So what becomes important? My life being nice according to my plan is more important than what he says. They are all like this only. Most people are like this only. That implicit obedience is rare to be found, but those who have it immediately attain the truth. Upanishads are filled with only stories like this. There are a lot of stories in the Upanishads. The Guru tells the boy, go graze the cows. Sends the boy to graze the cows. Wait down. He goes. Guru doesn't make any arrangement for his food. Go. He goes. Grazing the cows in the forest. What does he do? He's hungry. Small boy. He's hungry. So what does he do? He drinks the milk of the cow. The cow's tane. For a few days, this goes on. The Guru looks at him and says, fellows, looking very well nourished. Where are you eating? No, I'm drinking the milk from the cow. How can you drink the milk from the cow? Cow's milk is for us, for the ashram, not for you to drink like this. Okay. Plus the calves won't have the milk. After some time, few more days, what happens? Fellows, okay, lost a little bit weight, but still he's okay. What are you doing? No, when the calves are drinking the milk that is left over, I drink that now. That is also not right. You can't do that also. Shari, okay. He gives that also. Still, okay, reduces more weight, but still okay. Why? What you are doing now? When the calf is drinking, some milk is dribbling from the sides, I drink that milk. That is also not right. Don't do it. Okay, I won't do it. Chinna bhaiya, small boy. Brahmachari boy. Okay, I won't do it. He didn't do it. Apo, he didn't even drink that milk. Hunger came to him. He became very hungry. Didn't know what to do. Apo, some fruits are there. Some wild fruits are there. He's so hungry that he eats those wild fruits. But the wild fruits are poisonous fruits. They make him blind. Nightshade variety. They make him blind. In that blind state, he goes and falls into a well, open well, dry well. Evening, Guru, Rishi, comes there and where's the boy? He didn't come back. They all go in search of him. And they find him in this well. They bring him up. The Guru restores his eyesight. And then and there grants him Brahmagyana, Brahmavidya. Yeah, what sadhana did you do? Enquiry banana. Did you do who am I inquiry? Did you do Kundalini Yoga, Pranayama, Raja Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Tapa Yoga? What did you do? Listened implicitly to the most unreasonable of requests or orders from the Guru. Upanishad ki dankada. This is the story Upanishad wants to talk about. Another boy comes. I want the truth. Abdiya, go graze cows. Anybody comes with the truth, truth on truth. Go graze cows. Don't come back until there are 1,000 cows, 1,000 heads of cattle. There are only 400. Go until they become 1,000. You go. He goes. Doesn't worry about anything. Goes. By the time it's 1,000, he comes back as a Purna Brahmagyani. Another boy is there, and the Guru says, "Go and mind the field. It's raining. Go and mind the make sure that the waters don't flood into the crops where we have planted." So the fellow goes. Floods are coming. What to do? Guru's field has to be protected. How to protect it? The whatever is building, the little breaches with the bund he is building, it's all getting breached by the water. So what did he do? He laid down in that gap, preventing the water using his own body. Whole night he stays in the cold like that. In the rain like that, in the water like whole night he stays like that. Next morning, Guru comes out. Enga, where is this boy? Apra ellaru come looking for this boy. His body is stiff, frozen in that cold. He takes him up and embraces him. A flash of wisdom, insight. This is bhakti. For doing half an hour's work, we are making a face. For listening to a little bit of the instructions, we are making a face. We are not willing to do it. Instead, we are using our so-called intelligence. No, that won't work. That is too far. This is traffic here. There's that here. This here. Something we will say. There was a person called Sundaram in Ramanashramam kitchen. He used to do. He was working there in the kitchen when Bhagavan was there. For Nanake, he's sitting there and doing some work along with Bhagavan. Bhagavan is also sitting there. He's also sitting there doing some work. Bhagavan says, the mangoes have fallen from the tree. Go and pick them up. So while chopping the vegetables, Bhagavan is saying that he's also chopping. So he thinks, in his mind, okay, when I finish this batch, I will go and pick it up. He thought in his mind. So he continued, okay, yes, Bhagavan. He continued. Bhagavan said, when I said go and pick it up, I mean immediately now. Sundaram, know that everything comes from me. Go. He didn't say, I won't go and pick it up. He didn't say, I won't go pick it up. But then and there he didn't obey. He's chopping. He was chopping. He thought, I'll finish this and go. The Guru has given an instruction. Apadiye obey. He learns that lesson. He goes immediately and picks everything and comes. Lantern எடுத்துட்டு போன்னு சொல்றாரு பகவான் ஏதோ சொல்றாரு. Right. The lesson has gone into him. Another occasion, in the kitchen, big pot of sambar is boiling. Huge pot of sambar is boiling. And so many people have to be fed. Very pot. Bhagavan is doing some work. Sundaram is there doing some other work. Bhagavan looks at Sundaram and says, Sundaram, the pot is overflowing. Take it off the fire. And then Bhagavan gave an instruction. Then and there, he was a thin fellow, it seems. Then and there, he rose up. He ran to it. Without even finding out for a cloth to hold it, abdiye, he lifted up that boiling hot pot of sambar and put it down from the fire. Later on, he talks about it, he says, I was actually a very frail person. I don't know where I got that superhuman strength to lift this big pot of sambar and place it. Nor did it occur to me to look for a piece of cloth to hold the hot pot. Abdiye, I lifted it, but nothing happened. So he would tell everybody, you just have to implicitly obey Bhagavan. That is enough. What he asks you to do has got nothing whatsoever to do with the truth. It doesn't matter. What he's training you instead is in your suppressing this ahankara which jumps up and obstructs your obedience to him. Swami children, enna children, Swami? Be well-mannered, be courteous. You may think, what is being well-mannered and courteous got to do with Brahma Vidya? Isn't Atma Jnana the goal of life? Being courteous to people, how would it matter? Whether it matters or doesn't matter is not our problem. He has said it, we have got to do it. Finished. Full stop. If we have this attitude, then Ayye ati sulabham Atma Vidya ayye ati sulabham. Atma Vidya karatala phalam. Just simply obey him, everything will come to us. The Swami is giving so many instructions to us in Prasanthi Vahini. You take this up and obey it. And Swami was very, very kind. Always, you know what Swami used to say? At least take one teaching and practice it. He won't say take everything and practice. Take one and practice it. He's giving us so much. That kind of obedience. I think it was again Ram Brahmam only. Ram Brahmam Garu. Vrindavan. He was downstairs. And Swami called him. Swami was upstairs. Swami called him. At the time, he was having a cup of tea or coffee, something in his hand. And when Swami called him, he wanted to find a place to put it. Adhanal, he looked around, found a place to put it and then went up. Swami looked at him and said, I called you then. Why are you coming now? How long do you think it will take for him to keep this glass and come? I called you immediately, you should come. Not take your own sweet time coming. And now, impatient Swami. Swami is so impatient. Swami is not impatient. But Swami wanted to make this man the great devotee. Bhagavatottama Swami wanted to make Ram Brahman Garu. Adhanala Swami was chiseling him, training him. If I ask you to do it, no matter what happens. That attitude, it's all in that attitude. Once we have that attitude cannot come except through prema. Our love for him must be so much that we are willing to put up with inconvenience if necessary for his sake. Inconvenience. It's inconvenience for me, but if that's what he wants, then why not? But what has happened? The me and mine have suffered a blow, no? My comfort, my happiness has already suffered a blow. And do you think God is such a sadist that he wants to make you miserable? On the other hand, he's the only one who wants to make you happy. What kind of idiots we must be that we will not listen to him who wants to make us happy? Yeah. Shanti is true prema towards the Lord. Hence it makes realization of the Lord possible. Have therefore the Lord as your sole aim. Hold fast to the desire to realize him in this very birth. Remain unaffected by lust or greed, joy and pain, praise and abuse, or any such pair of opposites. The crux. This teaching is enough. Shanti is prema towards Bhagavan. Therefore, have him as your sole aim in life. Again and again and again, I think since the start of this Prasanthi Vahini series, this is the same mantra I have been repeating so many times. He is the only purpose, he is the only goal, he is the only aim. I am not repeating it. Bhagavan Cholinde, again and again, Swami is saying, I am reading it out in various places. That is all. If you do not believe me, go and read Prasanthi Vahini. You will find Swami saying it again and again. Nothing else is the aim of life. Nothing else is the purpose of life. Whatever it is that you are currently pursuing as purposes of life are all rubbish, trash. It cannot even be called also the aims of life. It is trash. If trash is the aim of your life, all the best. You will be a garbage collector. You can forge ahead as a garbage collector, trash collector. And all trash. First God, then everything. God alone, sole aim. SOUL, SOLE. Sole aim, only aim. That means I will attain God. I'll also have other aims. It's okay, no? Sole aim. Why? The moment you have one, after 2, 3, 4, mind will immediately go to 4, 3, 2, not to 1. Wipe that slate clean. Write only one thing in big bold letters. What? God. Finished. God alone. God alone is my purpose. God alone is the aim of my life. Hold fast. Swami says here, hold fast, hold tightly to the desire of attaining Him in this very birth. Of attaining Him in this very birth. Remain unaffected by everything else. By joys and sorrows, by kama and krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Be unaffected by all of that, by holding on to Him. How can we remain unaffected? Are we so strong? We are not strong. But when we hold on to Him, will strength not flow to us from Him? Who's asking you to fight the battle on your own? Who's asking you to fight this battle on your own? No need. He will hold on to Him. He will give you the strength required. He will sometimes fight on your behalf. He will fight on your behalf. Every moment, like the eyelids protecting the eye. We can never escape the glance of the Guru. But every time we slip, yeah. So we don't even have to worry. All we have got to do is hold fast, hold tight to Him. Resolve. Again, Swami says the same thing. Resolve within yourself. Make the firm resolve that the purpose of human birth is to reach the Lord through worship, through upasana. Again, same thing. Paragraph to paragraph, Swami has to say the same thing. What is the purpose of human life? It is to reach the Lord. It is to attain the Lord. It is to merge in the Lord, submerge in the Lord, immerse yourself into the Lord, become one with Him. Through bhakti, through prema. All experience, all knowledge, all actions are towards that end only. All experiences that you are seeking in life, all the knowledge that you are accumulating in life, all the actions that you are performing in life, all of this is to be geared for that one purpose alone, the purpose of attaining the Lord through prema. Imagine all the various things that we are craving. I want to have this, I want to go and experience this, I want to go a holiday here, I want to go and fall from a mountain, I want to go at this. So many desires people have. No? Which of those are geared towards leading us towards God? We have got to resolve. Karuna, compassion. See, if anybody has infinite patience, it is the Lord, because He is time itself. So He doesn't have to tell us, exhort us so much in this very birth itself. Bhagavan Shalvanda. Because for Him, what is there? So what? You will come another 300 births, 400 births, 3,000 births, 30,000 births. I will still be going to be there. You are still going to be there. How does it matter? And no, He can't do that. He's saying, resolve. In this very birth itself, you must attain the Lord. He is striving so much for us. He is feeling so much for us. What are we feeling? Bhagavan adichikrar parungo. Look at how much Swami is struggling. Swami is fighting for our sake. Oh no, in this birth itself he's exhorting us so much. We are in, what is your hurry, Swami? Sit down. We are telling Swami, wait, sit down. Why are you in a hurry? Attain now itself. Sit down. Shanti. We are taking it lightly. We are getting caught up in all the rest of this nonsense. You cannot even waste thoughts on this nonsense. Do you realize this? Can you grasp the gravity or the importance or the weight of what I'm saying? You can't be worried about your careers. That's what I'm saying. You can't be worried about your education. You can't be worried about your treasury, your money. Let it be there. You don't have to worry. You don't have to think about it. But it's there. It's there. It's not the purpose. Even if I have millions in the bank, can I attain God because of that? Even if I attain the highest award that is given in my career, can I attain God because of that? Like we recollected, Morarji Desai saying, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar narrates a story. Morarji Desai became the Prime Minister, people congratulated him. He said, what is that to be congratulated? This is not the purpose. I didn't want it. It came. My purpose is attaining God. When I attain God, at least you can congratulate me. What is worth congratulating? Everybody else is getting excited, jumping. By God's grace, you became Prime Minister. By God's grace, if I attained God, then I can call it God's grace. Idalama God's grace. Sometimes we even think it's important, no? There itself, we have a problem. Fundamental problem we have is when we think something is important. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, my son won an award. You want to tell somebody about it. Why? That's because you think it's important. Example. You think it's important. Is it important? Is it important? In your mind, oh, award. Important. Like this, so many small things are there. Minute, tiny things are coming up. They're not part and parcel of life. How does it matter? Have you attained God? Has your son attained God? He's got an award. Oh, fine. Has he attained God? No. What's the point? When he attains God, you tell. Silly things. Nothing is important. We have got to come into that state of realization that nothing is important. In the Samashavas 1990, we saw those discourses in which Swami says the aim of life is self-realization. Everything else is secondary, incidental, unnecessary. Everything else is secondary. Not even secondary. Merely incidental. Actually, come to think of it, unnecessary. Unnecessary means what? Means it will come on its own. What has to come to you will come. You don't run behind it. Mudha jahihi danagama trishna kurusad buddhim manasi vitrishna yallabase nija karmopatam vitotena vinodaya chetam bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudamate. My favorite song. Acharya Shankar also mirrors me, uses my favorite appellations. Mudhamate, you moron. Mudha, you fool. Jahihi danagama trishna. He says, what wealth has to come to you will come to you nija karmopatam. Because of the karma you have already done, it will come to you. You don't run behind it. They are not saying, be without money. Who's saying that? Money is necessary. Nobody said. Don't run behind it. Don't have a desire for it. Don't want anything in this world. If it comes, it comes. It's your prarabdha, it comes, you enjoy it. When it comes, you experience it. While remembering God, you experience it. While thanking God, you experience it. In fact, immersed in Him, let this experience happen. Immersed in Him, let this experience just happen. There, we're eating something. Somebody is talking to us about something else. We are listening to them, we are talking to them, and we are eating. Without even realizing what we are eating, we are eating. Eating is still happening. But our mind is engrossed in the conversation that is going on. Like that, when we are engrossed in our relationship with God, all these things will happen. அவ்வளவுதான். All experience, all knowledge, all actions are towards that end. All that is seen, eaten, heard, spoken, and done must be dedicated towards that goal. The purpose of human life is to reach the Lord. All actions, experiences, and knowledge are towards that end. All that is seen, eaten, heard, spoken, and done must be dedicated towards that goal. The Lord's name and form is like a mountain of sugar. Approach that mountain, have faith in it, taste it anywhere, and experience Ananda. What is he, Abhina? Mountain of sugar, Akara Kani. Alvar calls it Akara Kani, a fruit made of sugar. It is sitting on top of a mountain, it seems. Because Swami says mountain is sugar. Alvar says on top of the mountain there is a fruit made up of sugar. The Lord is a mountain of sugar. Approach it with faith. And taste it anywhere. Wherever you taste it, Angadan Angadan illa. Mathuradipater Akilam Madhuram. Bhagavan is sweet in everything. You Nadai Patande adu Alukutan. Everything is Madhuram. Adharam Madhuram, Badanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Asitam Madhuram, Bramitam Madhuram, Shamitam Madhuram, Vamitam Madhuram, Ella Madhuram. Every part of him is, every limb, every part of him is sweet. His actions are sweet, his smile is sweet, his laugh is sweet, his walk is sweet, his gait is sweet, his swimming is sweet. Ella sweet. His teasing is sweet. So, enjoy him in all of these ways and experience that Ananda. The highest bhakta is he who ever revels in that Ananda. The highest bhakta, Bhagavatottama, is one who is always enjoying this bliss called Bhagavan in various ways. Others are there who live beside the mountain, enjoying for some time the bliss of that constant remembrance of the Lord, and at other times the objects of the world. Such bhaktas are of the middle class. Some among the rest devote a quarter of their time to the Lord and 3/4 to the world. These are the lower class. There are also others who take shelter at the foot of the mountain when calamity hits them, but move far away from it when the crisis is over. These are the lowest among the lowest. Of these 4 grades, the highest type of bhaktas steadily cling to the path and enjoy the bliss throughout their lives. About 4 kinds of bhaktas, Swami is talking. Highest bhakta, constantly mind is only on God, and therefore he is always enjoying that Brahmananda, that Premananda, the bliss of love, the bliss of connection with God. Next grade, most of the time they remember, but then sometimes they also experience, their mind goes away to the worldly objects. Middle class. Lower class, about quarter of their time towards God, 3/4 for the world. Proportion mari piduthu. Highest 100% God. Next வந்து 3/4 God, 1/4 for the world. அதை விட lower வந்து 1/4 for half and half. Swami சொல்லலை, கிடையாது போட்டிருக்கு. 1/4 for God, 3/4 for the world. அதை விட lowest என்னன்னா, whenever a trouble hits me, God. சங்கடம் வந்தா வெங்கட்ரமணா. When difficulty comes, then we go to the Lord. After that, who is the Lord? Our Lord. Memory itself is not that. A lot of people are like that. Go to the temple when they, as though it's a ritual. After that, God is not part and parcel of their lives. We will not talk about those kind of people. Other people spend about once a week, they will go to bhajans, attend something. They consider them that itself spiritual. That category also we will not talk about. Another category is most of the time they are with God. Once in a while they go and do worldly things. And the category that also we will not talk about. And what will we talk about now? The ones who are the wise ones, they are always happy because they always have access to God. Bhagavan is always available. It's only a question of us turning towards him. Who is asking you not to turn towards him? But one point has to be carefully noted here. Swami's compassion is compassion. He doesn't merely set us some difficult to do things and say, I don't care how you do it. He's so sweet. But one point has to be carefully noted. When the body suffers from fever or when the mind is otherwise distracted, you do not feel the taste of the things you eat. Likewise, when the Lord's name is uttered, if the heart is tainted by tamoguna or the mind is otherwise distracted, you are not aware of the sweetness of the name, nor will the taste for it develop in you. So long as the sugar is on the tongue, you will feel the sweetness in the taste. Similarly, so long as the heart has bhakti, shanti, and prema, you will feel ananda. Instead, if bitter qualities of lust, anger, and envy germinate in the heart, fear, anxiety, and sloth will be the results thereof. You must have noticed the crane walking silently or standing motionless to catch a fish. If it plunges headlong and runs about helter-skelter, can it get the fish? Similarly, the Lord, also in the forms of a fish such as Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema, can never be won when the hullabaloo of lust, anger, egoism, and envy is rampant in the heart. For mind cannot be distracted. Even though you are living with the Lord, if the mind is distracted, we cannot experience or enjoy the sweetness. Even if you are singing the name of the Lord, if your mind is distracted, then there is no ananda to be attained from it. Maybe some punya will come. Maybe punya phalam will come. But the bhakta is not interested in punya. He is interested in prema. He wants to feel the waves of love arise in his heart. He is not interested in gaining merits for some future date. As far as the true bhakta is concerned, he doesn't want to have an appointment with the future at all. Meaning, he doesn't want another birth. All the punya that you do in this birth will come to bear fruits for you in subsequent births. Namako birth vandam. We don't want births. What are we going to do accumulating this? Yeah. So bhakta is not interested in punya. What is bhakta interested in? Prema. So if I'm singing the name of the Lord, I should feel ananda now. I should feel happy now. I cannot feel it if my mind is tainted by, Swami says, tamoguna, laziness, sloth, or worldliness, steeped in worldliness. Mind is distracted, mind is going somewhere else. It can happen to everybody, even the great devotees also, it can happen. Rani Rashmani was sitting in front of Ramakrishna. She wanted Ramakrishna to sing so that her mind can get deep in bhakti. Ramakrishna was singing, she was sitting and listening. Suddenly Ramakrishna got up and gave her a slap. Rani Rashmani was the woman who had built the temple in which he was merely a priest at that time. So she is employer, he is employee. And he got up and gave her a slap. Everybody was immediately up in their arms, they were incensed and said, how dare you? This fellow's really gone mad. Apo she said, no, don't do anything to him. He's right. He says, if your mind has to go to the lawsuit, why are you sitting here? She's thinking about a lawsuit. While in the temple, listening to bhajans, mind is going to a lawsuit. He gave a slap. Why are you here then? We must all be thankful. We are not in the presence of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Yeah. When the mind wanders, where is Ananda? We can't experience that bliss. Yeah. If Shanti is attained by the single sadhana, the constant remembrance of the Lord's name, then the Ananda that transcends all Ananda can also be achieved. Not only that, the evil tendencies of man's lower nature can also be fully conquered. Know that Paramatma is the goal of man. Direct all attention to that goal. Control the mind that wanders away from it. Otherwise, again and again and again, Swami is reminding us. Goal is Paramatma. Goal is Ishvara. Goal is Atma Jnana. Goal is God. One sadhana is enough, Swami says. What is it? The loving remembrance of the name of the Lord. Japamana Vanda. Loving remembrance of the name of the Lord doesn't mean Saram. Loving, there's no be loving them. You do whatever you have got to do. In the midst of it all, call out to Him. How many times do you think you do it? You go within, do an introspection. You go to school. You're studying in school. How many times do you remember the name of the Lord in school? Becomes a challenge to you. Sometimes, perhaps not even once. Not even once. As a school child, school is the major portion of your life, taking up most of your time. Anna, if that most of the time, even once you don't remember the name of the Lord, what are you doing with your life? Think about it. You're going to work. Work is a big portion of your life. How many times do you remember the name of the Lord at work? Hardly ever. அப்போ என்ன எடுத்து? Bulk of your time is already gone. வேதனூர் பிராயம் நூறு பாதியும் உறங்கி போகும். The allotted lifespan, let us say if it is 100 years, half of it is lost in sleep itself. Other half is lost in work and so on and so forth. Even in that, during that bulk of time when we are working, if we are not remembering the Lord's name, what is the use? In everything, when you are stuck at work, you're stuck in doing something in school, you're doing a sum, you're doing a maths problem, you're stuck. Swami, so simple is that, is it hard? Anyway, you're stuck now. Anyway, you need help. Why not call out? Makes it so simple. You've remembered the Lord. You're doing some work, you're stuck. Swami, you finish the job. Swami. In everything, whatever Ishta Devata, whatever chosen name of the Lord that you have, Rama, Krishna, Govinda, Shiva, Shankara, whatever Arunachala, whatever the name may be, Swami, Sai, Sai Ram, either name, whatever name. But if you can make it, Swami says that one sadhana, the single sadhana, the constant remembrance of the name. Name means remembering the person whose name it is also, remembering the Lord, connecting. You can't use the name without calling to Him. You can't just say Krishna. You just can't say just Swami alone. That Swami has to be Swami. He should have already been brought up in your mental world. And you're talking to him. Namasmarana is third person. Calling out to second person. Sitting there and saying Rama, 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 Rama is third person. Rama, 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 Rama. I mean, you're calling out to him. Is there not a big difference between Ram, 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 Ram and Rama, 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 Rama? Is there not a difference? In just the way it is intoned itself, is there not a difference? Tell me. That is the constant remembrance of the name. Sada, it should be calling out to him because he's standing in front of you. Swami, Abhina, then after some time, Amy, Abhina, you will hear it. Swami, Swami, Abhina, Amy, Abhina, Swami will say, what? Know that Paramatma is the goal of man. Direct all your attention towards that goal. Control the mind that wanders away from this goal. This is the essence of all the teachings of all the Shastras. Practice this one discipline and you have practiced all the Shastras. Don't you feel as though Swami is pleading with us, remonstrating with us, begging us as it were? God is the goal. God alone is the goal. Swami is pleading with us, cajoling us, threatening us, ordering us, begging us, requesting us. In every way, Swami is telling us again and again, God is the goal. Paramatma is the only goal. The mind that wants to wander away from that goal, control it. Bring it back to that goal. Let all attention be directed towards that goal. Let all experiences, knowledge and action be devoted towards that goal. Or let everything be dedicated towards that Lord. Through prema. Now, this one discipline, if you practice, you have ended up practicing all the Shastras. Sarva Shastra Sar. establishing oneself in Shanti and attaining liberation or moksha is the secret of a successful life, the duty of every individual. Again, the duty of every individual. What is it? Establishing oneself in Shanti and attaining liberation is the secret of a successful life, the duty of every individual. What exactly is moksha? It is samadhi or shanti attained through the sadhana of chitta shuddhi or cleansing of the inner self, the sadhana of negating the impressions that one gets through seeing, hearing, reading, learning, doing and getting done. Again, Swami is simplifying moksha. Moksha na enna? Moksha is samadhi. Samadhi na enna? Shanti. Shanti na enna? What is shanti? How do you attain it? The sadhana is chitta shuddhi. Cleanse the inner space. What do you cleanse it of? What dirt has to be removed from it? All the impressions, the samskaras, the vasanas, the residual impressions that are formed by all the activities that you engage in. When you see something, hear something, read something, learn about something, do something, a mark is left behind in our inner consciousness. Jnanis eppadi irukka appadina, the difference between jnanis and us is, jnanis, no residual impressions are ever left behind by the actions that they do. They are like a river. The water keeps flowing. At one point, and what is there in 1 minute is not there the next instant. The water is gone. Yeah. And the madri, the jnani's nature is constantly flowing. They don't carry anything with them. In the moment they are like this. Next moment that is gone. Washed, clean. Whatever action they have done, whatever they have seen, whatever they have spoken, whatever they have read, etc. It doesn't leave any impression in them. That is why they are jnanis. They are all, this state is already samadhi sthiti. Samadhi na, we don't have to think it is some kind of a stock still meditation state. Residues not being left behind in the inner space is samadhi. Swachham, it is always clean and always clear. Is samadhi. When you look at them, you think they will behave in all kinds of manner. They will be angry, they will be jumping up and down, they will be excited, they will be ellarko. And the next instant, when you look at them, you will see, is it the same person? Is it the same person? It's all washed clean. That's the state we have got to get. That is the state that we have to attain. That is called moksha. In a way, nothing is left behind as an impression. It is attained through the process of chitta shuddhi, cleansing the inner space, negating every residue, every impression that is left behind by seeing, reading, hearing, whatever it is that you do, etc. How to accomplish? As I said always, Swami gives us something to do and also tells us how to do it. How? Swami says, a person who is undergoing unbearable physical agony does not take any interest in a show, an entertainment show, does he? Similarly, a sincere seeker and a devotee can have no interest in the world's theatre of objective pleasure and petty passion. So movie is going on. This fellow has got severe stomach cramps. Everybody else is watching the movie. This fellow is... Will anything register in him of what he has seen in the movie? Only stomachache will register. Yeah. Nothing will register. Swami giving such a simple example. He says like that, if your mind is filled with God alone, if you are filled with that Ishvara Anubhava alone, the thought of God alone, then you will have no interest whatsoever in this theatre of this world. What does it mean? You will still be part of the world, but nothing will go in. Nothing will register in you. When you are in that pain, you are not paying attention to that. Even after the pain is gone, if somebody asks you, do you remember that scene? Which scene? I can't remember that scene. Weren't you watching? No, I was watching, but I was suffering from a lot of pain at that time. It didn't register. Yeah. Isn't this not a common experience? Why should we let pain be a means of negating an impression? Why can't pleasure be a means of negating impression? Pleasure and connecting to God is extraordinary pleasure. If the mind is immersed and lost in God, or abstracted state where mind is constantly in God, all these experiences that we are undergoing, they will not even find a foothold within us. They cannot register within us. I am not asking you all to be in this state already, but at least have this as a goal and start working towards it. Ayyo, this is such a high state. Where am I? Where is this goal? All useless. Whatever sadhana I've done today also is useless. Forget it. That is not the way we go towards it. On the other hand, become more inspired. Oh, okay, this is now I have a clear goal. Now I know what state to attain. What is the state? I should become so involved in God that nothing leaves an impression behind. If nothing leaves an impression behind, then somebody said something, they did something. Will that leave an impression in you? Chalungo Baba, tell me. You are feeling upset. They treated me badly, for instance. The thought that they treated you badly registered in you. Only then you can remember it and feel bad about it. If the thought itself does not register in you, Swami gave the example of Prahalada. Prahalada did not know he was being punished. Now, how can he ask for grace? How can he ask for protection? He didn't even realize he was being punished. Yeah, my mind is Govinda Parirambitaha. Naveda Jagadidrisham. He was not even aware of the world, the way the world was going, because his mind was engrossed in something else. Maybe people came and told him afterwards, after Hiranyakashipu was killed. People, you put up with so much difficulty that your father gave. Oh, you're a great man. How did you? Father gave me difficulty? I don't think so. Prahlada would have said, I don't think father gave any difficulty. I didn't realize it. What a blissful state this is. When you don't even recognize punishment, when you don't even recognize that somebody is doing something bad to you, you don't have to worry at all. No need to get out of that worry. No. I didn't even register it. Why didn't it register? The mind is filled with something else. Mind is filled with something. If you take the painkiller before getting an injection, people usually take painkiller after getting an injection. Take the painkiller before the injection. Injection only there. You won't even know the pain of the injection. No? Yes or no? Upper 4 நாளைக்கு சாப்பிடுறதுக்கு instead of eating it after 4 days afterwards, you eat it before, you won't even feel the pain. When we take the Nama, Bhagavan Nama, when we become engrossed in God and then enter into this world, we will not even feel the blows of this world. In Chennai, I remember, in Chennai, in India, not only Chennai, because I have noticed this in Chennai, I am saying Chennai. There are these people who get into the manholes and clean it. The sewage manhole, and they go and clean it. Sometimes people die of asphyxiation and all that. But you know what they do? How can they get into that? It is all human waste. How do they get into it? A fellow told us how. They drink. They drink a lot and then they get into it. They drink so much that they are so intoxicated, they don't observe all this. Otherwise, they say, who can bear that smell otherwise? Who can? They don't have gear, equipment, and nothing they have. They just get in. Wow. We drink and go, otherwise we won't be able to get in. That is why sometimes they are not fully cognizant. That's why sometimes deaths happen. Otherwise, they do it as the means to make themselves immune to that stink and that disgusting thing that is there. The world is like that only. Anityam Asukham. Anityam Asukham na anartham. It is sewage in artham. It is a sewage. It's a garbage heap. In fact, the way we came into this world itself is like that only. How were we born? The way we were born itself is through manhole marda. It is like a garbage thing only. Sewage na. We came out of a sewage pipeline into this world, covered in whatever comes in sewage pipelines. We are born like that, and we are contributing to that also. World is like that only. If you have to survive in this world, then you have to drink a lot. You have to drink. What should you drink? For the sewage, maybe an alcoholic beverage is enough to deal with the sewage. To deal with this world, even that is not enough. It is even more worse. அதுக்கு we need a very potent drink. அது பயங்கரமா அசத்தம். ஸ்தப்தோ பவதி மத்தோ பவதி அப்படின்னு. you should, when you take this drink, you should become totally stunned. ஸ்தப்தஹா அப்படின்னா stunned into, என்ன சொல்றது, stunned into immobility, into abstraction. That drink we should drink. Oh, I have drunk the wine of divine intoxication. அப்படின்னு Ramakrishna would dance. No? The story of Ramakrishna's devotee. One of Ramakrishna's devotees was Kalipada Ghosh. Two Ghoshas were there. Girish Chandra Ghosh and Kalipada Ghosh. They were friends. Why were they friends? Both were drinkers. Both of them would open up a bottle and become best buddies. Bottle buddies. And both of them were devoted to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Interesting. But one day, this Kalipada had drunk. In his house, he had drunk. But, this drink also, depending upon what is going on in your mind, it will magnify that. Whatever desire is in your mind, it will magnify that. This fellow had drunk and his desire was all about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. In the drunken state, he wanted to go and see Ramakrishna. The moment that desire came, he could not then say, in middle of the night, it was middle of the night. He was drinking late into the night. He is somewhere in Kolkata. Ramakrishna is in Dakshineshwar. Moment that in that intoxicated state, when the desire came, then and there he wanted to go and see Thakur. He made preparation. He was wealthy. He made preparation and went there. Went to Sri Ramakrishna's room. Ardharatri. Seri, even then kudichtu aadindirukkan appadina. Avara thooyindirukka mattaro. This fellow is drunk and he's dancing. At least Ramakrishna Paramahamsa should keep to sensible hours. What was he doing appadina? Ramakrishna was dancing without even his clothes on his body, inside his room. அவர் ஆடினார்னா அவருக்கு he is lost in intoxication of God intoxication. He is dancing. When he dances, he will not even be aware whether the dhoti is staying on his hips or not. It will also fall away without knowing that he will dance. Kalipada saw this dance from the window. I am drunk, but I still have clothes on. This fellow, what did he drink that he is dancing without even his clothes? I have to know this. He barged into the room and said, what have you drunk? Give me this drink. I want this drink. And he is also in a drunken state. Whatever it is that you have drunk seems to be more powerful than what I have drunk. I want it. Is it imported? Is it imported stock? It is not imported stock. It is immortal stock. Imported stock. What is it? It is the wine of Kali. God intoxication. Apdi or state, in those days, when I used to read that Gospel of Ramakrishna, I used to read that. Immediately I used to pray to Swami. Swami, if at all it is possible, let me have devotion towards you, but not the intoxication where I don't even know clothes are in my body or not. Too much, Swami. I remember praying to Swami. I don't mind being intoxicated in you, but let the clothes be on. அது என்ன அது அப்படியே பாடி கான்ஷியஸ்னஸ் இஸ் நாட் ஆனந்தம் மொத்தம் intoxicated. When we are intoxicated like that, we can deal with this world. Otherwise, it's not easy to deal with this world. You think it's easy? ரொம்ப கஷ்டம் இல்லையா? Go around and look at your own face in the mirror. For others to deal with you, is it easy? You are always thinking about dealing with others, but you should think about others dealing with you. You are not an easy person for others to deal with. You are also terrible. சொன்ன சகிச்சுக்கணுமே, அதுக்கு ஏதாவது போட்டால் தானே சகிச்சுக்க முடியும். கொஞ்சம் மருந்து சாப்பிட்டா தான் அதெல்லாம் சகிச்சுக்க முடியும். some little bit we have to take in. அப்பப்போ to deal with this world, we have to take a little bit, only then we can deal with this world. What should we take அப்படின்னா, நாமம். என்னதுன்னா, பிபரே ராமரசம் ரசனே பிபரே ராமரசம் பிபரே ராமரசம். Swami used to sing this song in this tune. அது அப்புறமா சக்கரவாகத்தில் ஒரு ராகம் உண்டு. But Swami used to sing it in this particular tune. Pibare Ramarasam. Drink the nectar called Ramanama. Bhagavan Nama. Rama is not the only intoxicant. Brands irukku illaya. Different labels are there, no? There's not only one type of alcohol. Different labels are there. அந்த மாதிரி different labels are there also. Krishna அப்படின்னு ஒரு ட்ரிங்க் இருக்கு, ஒரு பாட்டில். ப்ளூ கலர் பாட்டில் கிருஷ்ணா அப்படின்னு ஒரு பாட்டில். கிரீன் கலர்ல ராமா அப்படின்னு ஒரு பாட்டில். ஆரஞ்சு கலர்ல சாமின்னு ஒரு பாட்டில். இப்படி பாட்டில்ஸ் இருக்கு. Many types of drinks are there. You can choose the drink of your choice and get lost in it. Then only we can deal with this world. I'll stop here for tonight. Come back again at 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम तत्सत्. श्री साईश्वराय नमः.